Despite my many thousands of tweets and all my blogs, this is my first Teach Meet, so be gentle with me. And I've had a cough all week, so if I cough at any point, then please don't take too much offence at that. Because I've been quite nervous about this, I decided that I would summon the spirit of Action Jackson. Those of you on Twitter know exactly what I mean. So I'm not going to rip off the buttons for the fear of health and safety and hitting somebody's eyes, but I thought I've also summoned the spirit of James Theo, who said that this event is 100% Teach Meet and 0% horse. I'm just trying to wonder what James Theo will make of being put in the same bracket as Action Jackson. They seem unlikely bedfellows, but there is one bit of advice for following both of them. Take what they say with a pinch of salt. Trojan mice, bring on the Trojan mice. This is the theme for my presentation, okay? This Trojan mouse here is a NetRegard event, or something that happened. NetRegard are a company that look after online security of companies, and they were commissioned by an organisation to try and get into their system, but they didn't let them have any access to the system. So using social networks, they found out that who their protector was, who their online security agent was. And they also found out from social networks who might be the vulnerable members of staff. And they put the virus into a freebie mouse, a Logitech mouse, that they sent to these people, and sure enough, these people connected it via USB to their computer, clicked and uploaded a safe virus, but a virus nonetheless that could show how the end user can have a real impact on an organisation. And I like that idea. And then I thought, well, what does that have to do with education? And actually, unfortunately, it has precious little to do with education, because we like our Trojan horses in education, whether it's assessment for learning brought in from outside, whether it's brain gym brought in from outside, whether or not it's Bloom's taxonomy brought in from outside. And what we do is we bring these big things in, and the teachers at an inset day will sing and dance and will make merry and will fall asleep, and then from out of the belly of these beasts come things that take away, I think, some of our agency as teachers, some of our control as teachers, some of our individuality as teachers. And the person that I have to blame for all of this is Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton had this notion of cause and effect. He talked about equal and opposite reactions, and we've absorbed this kind of like simple physics principle into educational leadership, which is far more complex than that. And we believe in educational leadership that there are magic bullets that will cure everything in education. We believe that there are ways of doing things that will impact on every school, on every child, in every classroom. Put in the cause, push the button, pull the lever, outcomes improve student outcomes. Michael Gove likes that. He even said in, I love that, you put a picture of Gove and it gets a laugh every time. It's kind of like teacher presentation, cheap shot. He believes, and it was in the Key Stage 4 curriculum proposals, that if you make exams harder, kids will learn better. He doesn't know how good we are at twisting systems around to get the kids to pass the harder exams. But he's not the only one. Michael Wilshaw has this belief that if we just make our schools like his school used to be, that the whole system will get better. For Ed Balls, if every child matters, then the system would get better. For David Miliband, personalised learning, the system will get better. With Tony Blair, we just say education, 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 the system will get better. And what that leads to, because you have that coming from the policy making side of things, the policy implementing side of things are like Moses is. And so senior leaders in schools, they go up to the top of the mountain of an NCSL course, or they go up to the top of the mountain of an Ofsted training, or an SLT away weekend, and they come back down with these tablets of stone, with new commandments for us to follow, whilst at the bottom of the mountain are the people who are busy celebrating the idols that were previously brought down by the SLT that went up to the top of the mountain before. And we've created a system that's full of testosterone because of this cause and effect. We've created a system that is very, very kind of like manly and it's all about strong bones, and it's all about being muscular, and it's all about talking in a deep voice and being hairy. And we get concepts like, get people off the bus. We've got to get people off the bus. And I can't bear this because we don't live in a cause and effect system. We live in what's called a complex adaptive system. We live, sorry, I'm going to take some water, this is where the nerves start kicking in. We live in a complex adaptive system where there are so many different parts that have so much agency that the interactions between them can't be controlled as simply as cause and effect. There are no magic buttons. There are no bullets that will solve everything. There is no guaranteed effect size that will follow from following certain actions. Here's an example of a complex adaptive system. The weather conforms to Newtonian paradigm completely. Every single individual part of it fits in with the physical properties that Newton talks about. But when you put them all together in combination, temperature and air pressure and various other aspects, then it creates a complex mix which is unpredictable. And we can try and forecast it, but just like Fisher Family Trust's predictions, they will be wrong more often than they're right. Another example of a complex adaptive system is a murmuration of starlings. I love that word, murmuration of starlings. And if you've ever seen these, when they kind of like change shape in the sky, and they sometimes seem to disappear and then suddenly they're back again. And each of those individual birds has agency. There is no leader. If there is a leader, this is him. That'd be me. That'd be me flying away from everybody else. But do we really want starlings to fly in a single direction in the same way we want teachers to fly in a single direction? Here's a beautiful one, because I wanted to bring it back to humans, away from nature. This is, well, I'll let it speak for itself first. So the command and control mechanisms have gone. What's going to happen? Is it all going to grind to a halt? And you'll see the initial tension, the initial nervousness, the watching. And the bit I love is coming up where the pedestrians come into play. And the camera follows around, and this car's going, no, we're coming out, we're coming out. And the pedestrians go, no, sod you, we're not. And things are coming from all sorts of different directions. Forget the graphics, this has nothing to do with me. But you see what emerges is something that's really quite fluid. And it is based upon observation and taking care. And it looks a bit mad to the times, but who's to say it's not more effective than what it actually preceded? Okay, so what does a complex adaptive system look like, and what are the key features that we can play into? Well, the first one is this notion of connectivity, of networking. This idea that we need, as teachers, as individuals, as human beings, to connect with other teachers and human beings and individuals. And there are schools out there that are getting rid of staff rooms. There are schools out there that are having staggered lunch breaks or staggered days. And they're removing the opportunities for staff to talk because it's unproductive. And yet, some of the most productive talk is unproductive on the surface. And it's these points of contact where things network, where a teacher, instead of moving from A to B, can move from A to Q, or A to R, or A to Z. And if we take away the opportunities for teachers to have these conversations, these informal conversations, then we're losing something from the system. Another feature of complex adaptive systems is variety. How often do we have it that we try to push young teachers through a certain way of doing things? And we even have Ofsted now telling us that there is no recognised way to teach. Why should they be telling us that? That's all right, it's just a screen, isn't it? Why should they be telling us that? There's no reason for it. And yet we're making certain teachers feel that they're not welcome in the profession because of the way they teach. If it's effective, if kids like it, who cares? Another aspect of Complex adaptive systems is simplicity, keeping the rules simple and keeping them repetitive through cycles. We just want teachers to get better and better and better at teaching. We just want children to get better and better and better at learning. The first rule of good teaching is great pedagogy. The second rule of great teaching is great pedagogy. Curriculum changes, which is what we've been using to get kids to achieve better, only go so far. Assessment, changing the exam board, only goes so far. The third rule of great teaching is great pedagogy. Complex adaptive systems are self-organising, and yet the education system isn't allowed to self-organise. It's controlled all the time. We need to allow the systems to develop, and that means they won't function at their best all the time. They'll function suboptimally, and yet some schools still have as an attainment target for the school improvement target every lesson an outstanding lesson. Heaven help that kids have every lesson an outstanding lesson. And we need, this worked beautifully, but it doesn't work on this one. But if you look at it here, you can start to see why I put it on. We need to see patterns emerging. That's another aspect of complex adaptive systems. That patterns emerge when we don't look at them directly, when we look at them to the side, when we catch them at the corner of our eye. So, back to the theme of the presentation, bring out the Trojan mice. Forget these Trojan horses coming from on high. We need to empower our teachers to take risks to innovate. We need to let them be butterflies, okay, from chaos theory, because the only thing a teacher needs to affect big change is to flap their wings every once in a while, and we need to give them permission to do that. We need to be risk permissive, not risk averse. We need to embrace disequilibrium. We need to let ourselves get a bit seasick, let ourselves get a bit topsy-turvy, let ourselves get a bit of vertigo, because eventually the horizon will right itself. We need to embrace unpredictability. This Denmark team in 1992 weren't even entered for the European Championships, and yet they won it because Yugoslavia got kicked out of it when they broke up. They were about to go on holiday, but the events changed and they embraced serendipity and they ended up winning it. We need to, this is my favourite, we need to recognise that unlike the national strategies, if individual teachers are making changes, it will look a bit scruffy and a bit messy at times. Yeah? But the national strategies, as glossy as they are, the only good use for that now is to wipe away the dust. And we need to, as school leaders, not want to try and roll out every initiative as a Trojan horse and let it just be a Trojan mouse. I saw this image. Thank you. I saw this image on the internet and of how you affect a Trojan mouse. But this is wrong. Because this is top down, this is cause and effect. This is kind of like SLT taking pictures of it and saying, yeah, we need to do this. What we need to do is we need to give teachers agency. We need teachers to challenge M, to challenge Q, to do something different, to go a bit rogue. We need to ask our teachers to become guerrilla teachers. Okay? But be careful what kind of guerrilla teacher you want to be. And I've just realised with James Bond and gorillas, it's all getting a bit testosterone again. So when I say guerrilla teachers, I don't mean take up arms against your SLT. What I mean is be like this guerrilla artist. Make a mess and see what comes out of it. Is it art? Is it not? I don't know. But it's different, and it had an impact. Or be like this guerrilla gardener who fills in potholes in the most beautiful, creative, utterly impractical and stupid ways, but makes a small difference, cheers people up. Or be like this guerrilla advertiser who just changes the way that people look at the world and does something that absolutely makes you stand back and go, wow. Or be like these guerrilla flash mobbers who use social networks to connect with other people and bring together something quite amazing. And maybe you already are a guerrilla teacher. Maybe you're using Twitter to have conversations with people, to share resources, to put a Dropbox files out there for people to share. Maybe you're a guerrilla teacher by coming to Pedagoo London to embrace ideas and take them back to your school, not roll them out to everybody there, but just to try them in your environment and then kind of like tell other people how it's working for you. I started with this, I'm going to kind of finish with this. It seems like the most negative metaphor of the lot. It's not. This is the most positive. This company, this Trojan mouse, it made the leadership of an organisation realise how unambitious they become. It realised how they become too relaxed and made them realise that actually they needed to be challenged. And that's what individual teachers do. They challenge an organisation to be better. And this spread a virus, and I actually love the notion of viral spread of ideas. I love the notion of contagiousness and infectiousness. And that's what individual teachers bring when they bring something to the party rather than have it brought to them. I am personally fed up of the Trojan horses. I'm fed up of Greeks bearing gifts. I'm fed up of having to look gift horses in the mouth or not. We are Trojans. We are mice. We can make a difference because at Pedagoo London, it's 100% teach meat and 0% Trojan horse meat. Thank you very much.
Okay, well it's time for session 1. So I'm not sure we're all going to fit in the lifts, but it's back this way and we're going to make our way to the 8th